Marvin, a Hollywood star known for his rugged roles, reportedly left one co-star vowing never to work with him again. What really happened behind the scenes? This shocking fallout has left fans speculating about the truth. Could his intense on-set behavior be to blame? Stay tuned as we uncover the tension, conflicts, and behind-the-scenes drama that led to this unforgettable Hollywood feud. Let's move into the mystery that shook the entertainment world. Marvin's career. Marvin was one of the most famous people in Hollywood at the time, and his tough parts and emotional performances made him famous. Marvin immediately became famous with great films like Point Blank, Cat Ballou, and The Dirty Dozen. He was known for playing strict, low-key roles. People loved him in stories with many action and complicated characters because they showed off his acting skills. His intense work drew people in and made performances that people generally couldn't forget. Marvin was hard to miss, whether playing a funny role or leading a group of losers on a dangerous mission. Marvin was one of a kind and dedicated to his job. He became the character instead of just doing his job. People in the business world respected him a lot for being honest. He won an Academy Award for his role as a drunk shooter in Cat Ballou, which showed he could be funny and serious simultaneously. He was a reliable and flexible director because he could play several parts while keeping his unique edge. Marvin's style was often similar to the method acting style. He was known for living his roles fully and staying in character even when he wasn't on camera. This dedication gave his shows more authenticity, but made things more difficult. People on the set, in the cast, and the team sometimes found his style hard to work with, especially those who liked a more relaxed atmosphere. Marvin's intensity could build tension, especially if other people weren't as committed to the scene or story. Some sources say that his need to be the best often caused problems with his co-stars, who wanted a less stressful setting for filming. This desire to stay true to oneself wasn't always accepted. Some people like the effects of method acting, but it's not for everyone. Some performers do really well in settings where people work together and where spontaneity and adaptability are valued. Working with Marvin might be hard because he always sticks to his beliefs, no matter what. He didn't treat his co-stars badly, but sometimes his desire to give a great performance seemed too strong. Even with these problems, Marvin's friends and co-workers in the business praised him for always being honest. Not only were his acts entertaining, they were also very convincing. People loved his sincerity about his love of films, and directors loved how he could give characters depth. People liked Marvin's tough guy image, making him a cultural hero for determined people. His influence went beyond the screen. It inspired a whole generation of actors who tried to match his hard work and enthusiasm. Still, Marvin was seen by many in various ways. Over the years, stories about his demanding and even violent behavior have come to light, giving a fuller picture of the performer. Some people thought his excitement was great, while others thought it was too much and rude. These notes brought out the strange thing about working with Marvin. He could make everyone around him lose their cool, but he could still take a scene to levels that had never been seen before. Adding this depth to his mythology showed how hard it can be for even the best performers to work with a group. His work changed over time, and so did the stories about how Marvin behaved on set. Some artists liked his honesty, but others had trouble matching his focus and intensity. This fame didn't stop directors from choosing him, but it might have made his co-stars less interested in working with him again. These things can lead to disagreements, especially when Marvin's way of doing things doesn't fit the way some people like to work, which is more relaxing or traditional. Marvin left behind a legacy that showed respect for his skill while also being aware of the problems that came with it. His success shows how important dedication is, but it also shows how important balance and teamwork are in the arts. By looking at his relationships with co-stars, it's clear that his strong personality often changed the way things worked on set, for better or worse. These problems set the stage for the fights and broken relationships on set that characterized parts of Marvin's career, making co-stars sometimes think it would be too hard to work with him again. The co-star dynamic. The dynamic between Lee Marvin and a hypothetical co-star paints a picture of conflicting personalities and acting styles. While Marvin's intensity and dedication to method acting brought authenticity to his performances, they also had the potential to clash with co-stars who preferred a more collaborative and relaxed environment. Imagine working with someone deeply immersed in their role, so much so that they remain in character even when the cameras aren't rolling. This approach is inspiring for some actors, but for others, it can feel overwhelming or even intrusive. A fictionalized co-star could represent a very different approach to acting. This individual values teamwork, light-hearted rehearsals, and flexibility on set. They might see acting as a collective effort where everyone contributes equally to a scene's success. This contrast could create tension with Marvin's more intense and individualistic style. Marvin's focus on delivering the best performance possible led him to demand more from those around him, whether they were ready. This level of pressure could feel stifling for someone who sees acting as an enjoyable and cooperative process. The difference in acting styles could create a gap in understanding. With his commitment to authenticity, Marvin might have been less inclined to compromise. If he felt the co-star's approach didn't align with the scene's needs, he might push harder, expecting them to match his level of intensity. Meanwhile, the co-star might interpret this as an attempt to dominate the creative process. This situation could lead to frustration on both sides, as each actor struggles to reconcile their methods with the other's expectations. A specific incident could illustrate how these tensions escalate. For instance, during filming a particularly emotional or high-pressure scene, Marvin might insist on multiple takes to achieve the perfect shot. His co-star, accustomed to a more laid-back approach, could grow impatient, feeling that the additional takes are unnecessary. Tempers flare as tension builds, and a disagreement erupts on set. Marvin's strong-willed nature might lead him to stand his ground, while the co-star's frustration could turn into resentment. If this scenario were to unfold, it's easy to see how such an encounter could leave a lasting impact on their professional relationship. The clash doesn't have to be rooted in malice. Often these conflicts arise from a deep passion for the craft. Marvin's goal might be to deliver a performance that resonates with audiences, while the co-star might prioritize a harmonious and enjoyable working environment. Unfortunately, these differing priorities can create friction that's hard to resolve, especially in the high-stakes world of Hollywood. For the co-star, the experience of working with Marvin might become a defining moment, but not in a positive way. It could influence their decision to decline future collaboration opportunities if they feel overshadowed or unappreciated. They might view Marvin's intensity as incompatible with their approach to acting, leading them to seek projects that better align with their values and style. While Marvin might not have intended to create such a divide, his unwavering focus on authenticity could alienate those who didn't share his perspective, refusing to work together. The breakup between Lee Marvin and the made-up co-star was probably caused by rising emotions on the set. The last straw could have been a heated fight during a key scene or a series of small irritations worsening until they finally broke. Something like this could have shown the co-star that working with Marvin wasn't worth the mental cost. Clearly, their ways of doing things did not work, whether because he was always trying to be the best or because he didn't care about their happiness. Marvin might not have made this choice the way he did. Because he was so focused on his job, he might have been rude, thinking that the co-star's anger was unimportant because he needed to perform well. He could have been bold, though, and not willing to give in or back off. He may have also been uninterested because he thought differences like that were unavoidable in a business with a lot at stake. No matter what he said, they would have been officially cut off and unable to get back together. As word of the fight spread through the business, a buzz would have grown. It doesn't take long for rumors about fights on set to spread in Hollywood. Directors, actors, and producers would likely have heard about the battle between Marvin and his co-star. Some might have thought that Marvin's fierce devotion to his parts was good. Others, on the other hand, would have seen it as a danger sign and been wary of the problems that working with him might cause. Because of his two-sided image, Marvin would have been seen as a sought-after talent and a possible challenging partner. The consequences might have been just as bad for the co-star. It might have been a brave choice to refuse to work with someone as respected as Marvin. It set limits but also came with risks. Peers who saw how eager they were to defend themselves would have admired them, but they would also have been questioned about their ability to handle tough situations. By deciding not to work with Marvin, they may have found other opportunities more aligned with their values, which could have led their career in unexpected ways. The event made it clear to Marvin that he is a tough and demanding performer. This picture might have attracted producers who liked his dedication, but it could also have caused problems. Directors who wanted everyone to get along on set might have hesitated to hire him because they feared he would cause trouble. However, Marvin's talent and screen charm were undeniable, and his career was sure to do well no matter what. The disaster's long-lasting effects show how hard it is for people in the entertainment industry to work together. Marvin and the co-star would have learned a lot from this experience about how to work together, set limits, and make adjustments for artistic success. They would have carried this knowledge into their next projects. Even if their paths had met in different ways, working together, no matter how hard it was, would have left a mark on both of their lives. As Lee Marvin's work grew, he became a bigger and bigger Hollywood star and left a legacy that went beyond the problems and stresses of his time. Hollywood's high-stakes drama. Method acting is one of the most important changes in Hollywood because it helps actors live out their parts. However, this approach can make work hard, sometimes leading to co-worker disagreements. Lee Marvin was a famous method actor whose dedication to realism worked for and against him. His commitment to living and breathing his parts often gave them unmatched depth. But it made him hard to work with on set for directors and co-stars who wanted a more relaxed or cooperative atmosphere. Depending on who you asked, people either liked or didn't like Marvin's violence. Working with him was inspiring, and those who could match his energy did better at what they were doing. But it could be strange or too much for people who aren't used to his way. His constant attention sometimes made it hard to find a middle ground, which may have made his close relationships with some co-workers even stronger. Even though his method of acting sometimes led to great films, the relationships he made while shooting were expensive. In Marvin's time, Hollywood was a very competitive place with many crazy people trying to get noticed. The drive to do great work and stay popular changed the behavior of many stars, and Marvin was no different. Because the business was so tough, people took a straightforward method where results sometimes came before relationships. In this setting, where being different meant pushing the limits on and off the screen, Marvin's sarcastic and occasionally hostile nature may have come from this. This competitive environment not only pushed Marvin but also made fights more likely. Because Hollywood is a collaborative place, it makes sense that different styles and ways of doing things will clash. Marvin's presence on site caused some people to disagree. Some liked his dedication, while others found him difficult to work with. These relationships were typical of a bigger trend in Hollywood, where people's desire to be the best can sometimes make relationships difficult. Even though there were problems, Hollywood history is full of stories about differences that led to amazing results. Dynamic problems have often led to legendary films and performances that teach us that working together doesn't always mean getting along. Many directors and actors have worked through problems to make famous works of art, showing that even the toughest conditions can lead to great results. Even though Marvin's method of acting was hard, it helped create acts that are still admired today and show this truth. People can learn from these disagreements how to balance being unique and working together in film production. When actors and directors work out their differences, it shows how important it is to be flexible and treat each other with care. Marvin's way might not work for everyone, but it shows the pros and cons of always being dedicated to your job. His story shows how hard it is to balance personal creativity with working with others, which is still a problem in Hollywood today. The work of Marvin also makes you think about how method acting changes the Hollywood movie scene. It has led to many amazing shows, but it has also caused people to talk about the mental and emotional effects it can have on the performer and their friends and family. Because he often blurred the lines between his on-screen and off-screen personas, Marvin's commitment to being himself was a double-edged sword that helped him with his fame and problems. When you look at Marvin's impact, it's clear that his dedication to his job changed movies for good. Even though he could be divisive at times, his passion was a big part of his character's sincerity. Even when problems came up, Marvin's work stood out because it showed that his method worked even though it was hard. His job makes us think about how hard it is to work as a team and how excitement and dedication can last long. Lee Marvin had a big effect on Hollywood, even though he had many problems. This shows that even the hardest paths can lead to a legacy. Lee Marvin's legacy. Lee Marvin's success shows how strong skill and hard work can be when they are not hidden. From his early roles to becoming famous worldwide, Marvin made his path in Hollywood, which made him one of the most recognizable stars in the business. He got an Academy Award for his role in Cat Ballou and showed that he could simultaneously be funny and serious. It was a turning point that showed his flexibility and proved his artistic sense. Marvin's roles in action films like The Dirty Dozen and Point Blank set a standard for tough, no-nonsense figures which affected the genre. Marvin was successful because he worked hard at his job and could play different characters well. His method acting style gave his parts depth and sincerity, which made the films he worked on better. People who liked his bare and honest acts related to his complex and often flawed characters. These wins are a big part of his legacy because they show that great artistic talent usually comes with big problems. But Marvin's story is about more than just awards. In addition, it talks about the lessons learned from working as a team. When Marvin was angry, it was his power and a source of trouble. Directors and co-stars liked his dedication, but sometimes they found it hard to work with his style. This duality in his legacy shows how hard it is to balance one's artistic vision with the needs of a group. Marvin's experiences teach actors and directors that they need to find that balance without giving up the integrity of their work. For actors and directors working today, Marvin's story is a wise look at how important it is to work together. Even though his dedication led to great performances, the stress it caused on set should be a warning. His legacy encourages experts to accept passion and ensure everyone treats each other respectfully and understanding. Learning how to control intensity in a useful way leads to more harmonious and successful products. Marvin's career shows that even the most talented people sometimes have trouble working with others. However, these problems don't define their success or impact. People always want to see Marvin because his acts are so interesting. Many people still like him because his honesty makes his acts seem real. People still like his films, and his characters are held up as examples of how films should be told. People in the business also respect his work because he changed the definition of what it meant to be a top guy in Hollywood. Even though there were problems, Marvin's body of work speaks for itself and shows how talented and dedicated he was. From the point of view of the business world, Marvin is complex but mostly good. His strong attitude could have led to arguments but also drove him to great success. Hollywood has always liked characters who are bigger than life, and Marvin fits right in with that trend. His work history shows that mistakes never make someone less brilliant. Instead, it builds on a history that inspires and provides deep insights into the creative process. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating stories. Click on the next video popping up to explore more fascinating Hollywood tales. See you there!